My name is Art Risby, and I'm the mayor of Edwardsville. At this time, I'm asking for you to keep those affected by this tragedy in your thoughts and prayers. The governor called me directly and offered to provide all necessary state resources to assist us in search and rescue. This will be ongoing for the next several days. I appreciate your patience, and we will continue to release information as it becomes available. Now I would like to introduce our police chief, Michael Philback.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for coming. I'm just going to kind of cover briefly what our press release stated, try to answer a few questions that we can. So on December 10th, Friday evening at approximately 8:33 p.m., we had a significant weather event that occurred down in our enterprise zone. One of our Amazon warehouses experienced a major structural damage. We do at this time are able to confirm that we have more than one fatality at that location. The Edwardsville Fire Department, the Edwardsville Police Department, among numerous other departments throughout this area, both police, fire, and EMS responded to this location. It's been an ongoing scene since that time. It's had challenges in trying to develop information on to know how many people we actually had at that facility at the time because it's not a set staff. So Amazon management is there, they're assisting, they're helping us create a list to identify individuals that are accounted for or not. The Madison County Transit Department assisted us earlier in the evening with transporting some of the individuals, the workers there, to a safe location to reunite them with their families at the Pontoon Beach Police Department and help us gather information on if they were there working and anyone that they knew that might have been missing or unaccounted for. So it's still again, our fire department, among other fire departments, are still there. We're using a lot of heavy equipment is involved as well. Construction companies are assisting them in being able to secure that scene. Some of the obstacles that we faced, our first responders have faced since the beginning of this. Initially, there was a large amount of a water issue there because of the fire suppression system, as well as power lines that needed to be secured before first responders could actually get into the rubble. Ameren responded and was able to secure those items, and then we had to also request additional assistance from other companies to secure the concrete and the structure there to make it safe for the first responders to go into the site and conduct their searches and the rescues. One individual, I can confirm two, was transported by helicopter to a St. Louis area hospital. I do not know which one, and I do not know the extent of that individual's injuries. There were a few other minor injuries that I was aware of, but they were not transported. So at this point, it's still, like I said, an active scene. Chief James Weifert of the Edwardsville Fire Department is the on-scene commander. Later today, we hope to send out a press release to do an update press conference as well. It will probably occur this afternoon. Once we have more information, we can make sure that anyone that any fatalities, their family, their loved ones were properly notified before we can release any of that information at this time.
Chief, do you know how many people were transported by bus to Pontoon Beach?
Somewhere in the area of 30, I believe, were transported by bus.
So 30 got out, 2 hospitalized, and more than 1 dead?
One was transported to the hospital. As far as the other injuries, were not hospitalized as far as that I'm aware of. And as far as fatalities, like I said, we can confirm that there's one. There's more than one. There's at least 2 at this point. So we're working again to ensure that the families are notified and everything before we release that information.
Chief, do you believe there are still people trapped in the rubble who you are trying to reach? Do you hear anything? Is there anything that makes you believe there's still people in there who can be rescued?
At this point, I do not know what the fire department is hearing, if anything. I know that they're still working the scene and treating it as search and rescue efforts. So,
And you spoke to this a little bit earlier, but what are they dealing with out there? Is there just feet and feet of rubble upon rubble in that structure? Or what is that scene like?
yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of, for those that haven't been down in that area already, there's a lot of debris from the concrete that is predominantly a concrete and steel structure. So you have concrete and you have things hanging. It's quite windy outside, so things are unstable. So they have to shore those things up so that they can be safe.
So the 30 who were transported by bus were able to get out on their own?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have 30 by bus, at least more than one deceased, and one hospitalized, and you said you had 2 other minor injuries who were not transported, is that correct?
As far as the amount of minor injuries, I don't know the number of those. I just heard that there were a few.
Okay.
So when I say a few, that could be 2, it could be 3.
Okay.
I don't know the extent of.
How many workers do you estimate were in the building originally?
Again, we're trying to work with Amazon and in gathering information from coworkers and such to get that. I would give the best guess at this point is somewhere around 50, but that's strictly a guess.
So if there were about 50, then we're looking for about 17 or so who might be unaccounted for?
Well, some of the people left from the scene. They weren't all transported by bus, so there were individuals that left from the scene.
So that's part of the challenge. You don't have a good
Right.
count at this point of how many
Right.
people could be left in that building.
Right, and that's exactly right.
Okay.
If someone has a loved one who's unaccounted for, is there a number they should call? Who's handling the response to relatives?
So we have been receiving phone calls if you don't know if your loved one worked there and you don't know, you can call the Edwardsville Police Department. We'll take the information. We'll work with the fire department and Red Cross to try to get that information and get back to you as to where your loved one is.
Chief, do you believe this was a tornado that moved through there? I mean, I know there was this touchdown. Do we think it was a tornado that hit that building? Could it have been some other kind of significant weather event? What's your thought at this point?
Yeah, I think that we can all look at it and say it was a very severe weather event. The National Weather Service, to my knowledge, hasn't released what they deem it to be. So I'll kind of leave that to them, but it was definitely a weather-related storm that came through that caused this incident.
Chief, on the human level of this has got to be, and then you can speak to it, the mayor, both of you, this has got to be a tough one for you guys to swallow here. This is rough on your community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of people that are touched by this. Again, our prayers are, concerns go out to those directly affected, but then we have first responders and that too that are dealing with this, and we will make sure that we provide them, ongoing support for these things so that when something like this happens in the future, that they'll be there to do their job.
Mayor,
Do you know what the Amazon policy was with workers for a tornado warning? Were they told to take shelter, or what was the policy?
Yeah, I don't know what Amazon's direct policy is on that. I'd leave it to them to answer what their policy is. Typically, all the warehouses down there have a policy on what to do in those situations, but I don't know. I'll leave it to them to speak for what they do exactly.
Going back to what it looked like on the ground, was the damage concentrated in a certain part of the building, or was it just complete kind of overall?
It looks like a good portion of the southern portion of the building was destroyed. So,
And was it a situation where a lot of boxes tumbled off of shelves, or what does that south side of the building look like?
it's another disaster. It looks like everything blew through there.
Was there a lot of shelving with products stacked up in the ceiling?
I don't know what that typically looks like, so it's,
Gotcha. Well, we're coming up on 6 o'clock, and the mayor said this could be a days-long rescue effort. What do you expect in the hours ahead with the sun up? What's going to be happening today? What do you
so our first responders down there will continue to work this scene until everyone's accounted for. And there's, you know, there's still power lines down in that area. Not everything is secure. So, you know, we would ask that, you know, if you go down there, stick to that roadway, take your pictures, but don't try to go around the building such, because we don't know if it's safe for you to do so. So this will be an ongoing effort, like I said, to make sure that we account for everyone, that we don't leave anybody behind. And, you know, that may take the rest of the morning, it may take the rest of the day, it may take 2 days. I do not know that answer at this point.
So at this point, it's too early to tell when you transition from search and rescue into search and recovery? if
Yep.
you will.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll take 2 more questions, and I think we'll need to wrap it up. We will plan on doing a press release later today. Chief Weifert will participate in that press conference, and we'll give you plenty of notice. But then that way he can give you hopefully a better update on some of the things that are going on. Yes, ma'am.
If procedures weren't followed by Amazon management, could there be a criminal investigation?
At this point, this year is, right now, we're looking at it as a weather-related event. I'm not going to speculate that anybody did anything wrong. So if that was the case, I mean, obviously it may turn into something else, but at this point, I have no reason to believe that anybody did anything other than a weather event that there wasn't much that they could have done from the looks of it. So.
Chief, do you have any idea at this point how long before this hit that those workers could have had time to take cover? Do we have any idea of how, like when they got perhaps a warning and then when it happened?
No, I don't have that answer for you at this point.
And Mayor, would you mind speaking of just the impact on your community perhaps?
Okay. Is that all for me at this point?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Now we're going to wrap it up here when the mayor's finished.
Well, we have a tight-knit community, so it's, you know, as I said, I'm just keeping everybody in my prayers. So, you know, it's, we're concerned for everyone. So, thank you.
What's your message to your community, Mayor?
Just say prayers, you know, and just concerned. Thank you.
Thank you.